Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Crypto Crow. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. It's about 11 p.m. Eastern time, my time, and it's Monday for you. So congratulations on making it through this weekend. I cannot wait for 2020 to be over, and I can tell you, with everything going on in the crypto space, there's one thing that has not wavered for me at all. And that is my absolute passion for Cardano. And, I'm doing this video because I'm going to start doing a little bit more content associated with Cardano. And one of the main things is that I believe we're getting much closer to Goguen launching. And when it does, I am actually going to try my hand at potentially creating some maybe DeFi applications. I don't really know yet. To be quite frank with you, I have no clue, but I'm going to go through some articles. I'm going to go through some TA and a couple other things and just basically finish off with my overall sentiment on what I think is happening. Cardano's Goguen will foster adoption and bring ADA to millions of people. This is an article from October 17th on Crypto News Flash. Smart contracts on Cardano will be based on the global standard Actus, supported by the giant Deloitte. The introduction of the Marlowe program language will enable the creation of smart contracts by anyone. Now, this is big. This is a really big deal. Cardano's corporate branch Emergo has given an update on the launch of the Goguen era and its implications for the ecosystem. Goguen is considered one of the most important milestones for the development of Cardano. The new functionalities it will bring to the network will make Cardano more accessible to all of its users. This phase will introduce many new and exciting features, most notably smart contracts, the moment we're all waiting for, which will open up a lot more tangible opportunities of development for both developers and enterprises wanting to leverage Cardano's blockchain network. This will also enable the Cardano community as well as businesses to use their creativity to develop valued services and solutions. If Goguen and Marlowe operate hand in hand the way I'm reading so much about it and it's being presented, this could potentially open up decentralized applications for everyone. I mean, think about it. I don't know how many of you guys remember back in the day. Like, I first learned HTML programming with a GeoCities account. I don't know how many of you guys even remember that, but that was back in the day when I think I was working as an Apple call center rep at the time, the 1-800 SOS Apple. I'm pretty sure I was like 17 years old. I actually loved that job. It was like, it was actually a lot of fun. It was hard, but it was a lot of fun. And you dealt with a lot of weird people, which I thought was great. But people that use their DVD, trays for a coffee holder and it broke, and my coffee holder broke. What do you mean? Well, I pushed the button, it comes out, and I bumped it and it broke it. They're using their DVD trays as coffee holders. They're using their mice as foot pedals, thinking it operates like a sewing machine. All kinds of weird stuff. Obviously not so much today, but back then, that was a thing. And, that was around a time when the internet was first getting kicked off. And hell, I'm pretty sure you were able to get a Network Solutions domain name for pretty much free. They were trying to just populate the internet and they were giving domain names away. And then it went from that to charging $75 or $100 a year. And so it was absolutely insanity. And I actually started dabbling in HTML. I was working for Apple. I had all this stuff going on. Then I got another job with a company as an IT support guy. I was going around fixing printers and computers and networks and things. I still had never even owned a computer, but I was pretty good for whatever reason to figure out what was wrong with them. And I ended up with a whole bunch of Hewlett-Packard certifications and just all kinds of silly stuff. Almost got my A+, failed that by one question. So the long and short of this whole thing is that even someone like me ended up sitting down with an HTML source book and a GeoCities account, and I would go through and pick out strips of code. I would go and view the source page of different GeoCities pages, and I would highlight the code and I would see what element of code made X, Y, or Z happen on the page. You want your image to be here. I find that strip of code, reference it in my source book, kind of understand it, and ultimately I taught myself how to code in HTML in Notepad, and I started doing websites, which was ultimately my first company. I started my first business doing websites for people. I think now how so many more people can go out on the web and create a website for themselves, whether you're a business owner, you're a hobbyist, you're a skateboarder, you're a rapper, you're like whoever you are, chances are you know somebody, if it's not yourself, that can build a website for you. Now, the way I look at, like, how many of us know somebody that can create a smart contract on Ethereum? Like a legitimate smart contract on Ethereum, not many people. You have to go out and hire a developer to do this, right? Because it's not a very easy thing. You need to know a completely new Solidity and the programming language and all that stuff. And then let's just face it, if you're not a developer, you're not a programmer, you're not going to get very far. So when I see stuff like this and I think, okay, Goguen, and then we're looking at Marlowe, I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be like the GeoCities of blockchain tech, because GeoCities made it easier for people to learn and build websites for themselves. Now, granted, they weren't very pretty back then, but over time, we were able to take what we learned from GeoCities and expand on that knowledge to start doing bigger and better things on our own. And ultimately, if Marlowe helps facilitate that sort of functionality for every other end user on the blockchain, and guys like me can sit there and focus and say, hey, I want to create X, I want to create Y or Z, and I am actually provided with the tools to be able to do that easily. This will be the absolute biggest thing ever to hit blockchain. Now, and here's the thing. So I'll continue on a little bit. I'm rambling. Goguen will bring one of the most expected features, smart contracts, and the development of decentralized applications on Cardano. In addition, Goguen will introduce the multiple asset ledger that will allow the network to host new native tokens. These can be used in conjunction with the dApps to build DeFi projects. Therefore, Emergo states that Cardano will become one of the most secure platforms to build protocols, applications, and decentralized finances to attract new users. One of the use cases proposed by Emergo is the use of Cardano to host highly sensitive information for one or several companies. They're poking the government with this. They're basically saying, look, government, get rid of this outdated crap. Like your operatives, your everybody in the government should not be using Windows 7 or Windows XP. You know what I mean? They're basically saying it's time for you to start looking for alternative measures. We're building a solution for you and other enterprises. So I actually like that. At least I'm assuming that's who they're kind of nodding at. Developers will be able to leverage the Plutus programming language to create financial contracts on their platform. Plutus is molded with the algorithmic standard and the Actus data standard. This project is supported by major companies such as Deloitte and aims to create a global standard for the representation of financial instruments. A smart contract written and programmed in Plutus on the Cardano blockchain gives each party involved full visibility of exactly what the contract entails. When written correctly, it would be impossible for a single bad actor to participate in an adversarial way. Plutus will be deployed in 2 phases, explains Emergo. The first of these will be called Plutus Foundation and will be used by developers to access tools that will allow them to build ICO, decentralized exchanges, stable coins, among others. Then the Plutus application framework will be launched to increase the creation of complex logical contracts. Regarding the introduction of native tokens on Cardano, Emergo states that the multi-assets ledger will be similar to the ERC20 method or Ethereum's method. By using it, developers will be able to build utility, security, loyalty, and collectible tokens, among others. In addition, users will have an interface that allows them to issue custom tokens quickly and easily. Perhaps one of the most interesting features of the Goguen era is the introduction of the Marlowe programming language. Specialized in the creation of financial instruments, Marlowe will break the barrier of users' technical skills. The programming language will allow anyone to create a smart contract or dApps through its pre-introduced code blocks. WYSIWYG, baby. WYSIWYG, drag and drop those instructions onto a little palette and create like, like you see these games. I'm assuming, I haven't seen this yet. I've been diving more into Marlowe, but based off of what I'm seeing, it looks like we're going to be able to drag and drop blocks of instruction that have already been pre-coded, pre-developed, and we just pick the functionality we want and link them up. I mean, that's the way I'm assuming that's what we're thinking about here. In which case, it's going to be a lot of fun to create this stuff. There will also be pre-existing financial contract templates, references to actual financial instruments, many visual programming tools, and courses to walk through Marlowe. Think about it this way. You want to talk about back in the days of GeoCities? How many of you guys remember NetObjects Fusion? I mean, you want to talk about a WYSIWYG or Front Page? How many? That was crap. But you remember Front Page? I mean, so many of these WYSIWYG editors allowed people to create new websites by just dragging what they wanted onto a page. And that's ultimately what I'm gathering is going to be coming with Marlowe. It'll probably be a little more complicated than like a WYSIWYG HTML editor, obviously, but it could be even easier. I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out, but I'm extremely pumped. This allows the flexibility to utilize any current real-world financial contracts to be easily implemented through Marlowe into the Cardano platform. These contracts can be as simple as a lending agreement to a mortgage contract and to even bonds. I'm starting to like read through. This is like a Marlowe tutorial. I think a lot of this stuff is already a little outdated. Well, this is Marlowe 3.0, so I'm going to be going through that. And I also found, this is a gentleman who's actually a part of the research team for Cardano. And he has put together this is on Udemy, and he put out a free course on Udemy about Marlowe. And it's pretty brief, but I think it ultimately explains a lot of the fundamental basics of Marlowe and what to expect, though it is a little outdated, which was admitted by them, and so they're working on a new version. So if you're interested in finding more out about Marlowe and whether or not you're going to be able to try your chops at creating some smart contracts on the Cardano blockchain, you might want to check that out. Investors are in disbelief as Cardano prepares to break out. This is stupid to me. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you why. So the negative sentiment around Cardano presents a valuable profit opportunity. Basically, it's providing an elongated opportunity to accumulate more. And that's really all this article means. So I'll just read the key takeaways. I'll show a little bit, but I'm not going to get too deep into it because I'm going to show you some things. Cardano remains dormant as its price action is capped by the 250 12-hour moving averages. On-chain metrics shows that breaking above resistance would not be easy. However, the current state of disbelief among ADA holders could be a positive sign from a counter sentiment perspective. And it goes in to support all this gobbledygook, but it really, like, the fact of the matter is, to me, it doesn't matter. Look, that article is from the 21st. We're right now on the 25th. You're going to be watching this video on the 26th. You're talking days later, and we've broken out of it. And that doesn't even mean anything. Why? Because Goguen hasn't launched yet, folks. That's the biggest thing. Goguen is going to be the biggest catalyst to Cardano's price action moving forward than anything before it. I'm telling you, it's going to be. And I'm waiting for it anxiously because there's so much opportunity that's going to come with the Goguen launch, and then Marlowe and Voltaire and all the other stuff that's coming. But Goggen's where it's at. And once Goguen launches, you're going to see this number start shooting up. And I think it's going to start growing exponentially over the next year and a half. And where it stops, I don't know. But again, and I've said this on multiple videos related to Cardano, if I don't see a $5 Cardano at the peak of this next bull market, I will be not only depressed and sad, but I will be extremely shocked. Because I was reading another article tonight that was just way too long to get into. But it basically goes into all of the methodology behind the development of Cardano as a whole since inception, and why it was created with a blank slate from the get-go, and how everybody involved took such a mathematical, philosophical approach, and basically merging these worlds together to create, this one answer being Cardano's blockchain. Because Charles Hoskinson has seen so many different projects start in development. As it gets more and more popular, people within the team starting to argue and bicker about what direction that blockchain should take from there. And then there's that creates separation and all kinds of problems. And so to to eliminate a lot of that. They basically put together, like hell, they've got teams in like 40 different countries. They've got like 250 developers and people throughout the foundation and all these different groups. I mean, I don't think people realize how big a deal this is. Like, I really don't. I don't think people just because Charles Hoskinson pops up on YouTube all the time and it pops up on Twitter all the time, I feel like to some extent, because Charles has been so accessible to some degree, and I think that because he has responded to people who have been negative or fudding or lying or just, doing all kinds of random stuff, Charles doesn't have a problem calling them out. He doesn't have a problem saying you're an idiot, whatever the hell he's calling people. He doesn't have, he does not care. And I think that is let me just say this. Charles is one of the greatest minds in blockchain technology today. And he's creating one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, and what I believe will be the most sought after blockchain in history that could very likely rival that of Bitcoin itself. Not even just in market cap. We already know it's going to rival just about everything else on the market in terms of functionality, scalability, interoperability, governance, you name it. They are basically spending all of this time creating something that is likely going to be perceived as perfection in blockchain technology as it's possible today. And I do believe it's going to stand the test of time. And once Goguen is officially launched and the floodgates are open, none of these technical charts are going to mean squat. They're just not. I truly don't believe they mean anything right now. But people like to chart it and people like to have fun with it, and they like to try and figure out what's going to go up, when it's going to go down, and there's going to be light. I mean, look, this is pretty light volatility. We're talking about a high. What do we wicked up here around 17 cents? This was back in July, and we've slowly come down. We've had some pumps. We had some pumps in September and stuff, and Shelly helped with some of that. And look, I mean, but nothing major. You're talking about a low of 7 cents here, a recent pump up to 12 cents. It's just going to go back and forth, folks. And I'm not giving you financial advice. Do whatever the hell you're going to do. But if you're looking to accumulate something that's obviously going to be doing very well in the near future, I mean, Cardano to me is still my favorite project out there, and I believe that Cardano is very likely to change the lives of so many people. It's up to you as to whether or not you miss out. But this technical analysis gobbledygook as it relates to ADA, I don't buy into any of it. I don't really care because it doesn't mean squat to me, because none of this stuff matters until Goguen launches, and once it does, it's going to print its own technical analysis, and it's going to be a moonshot. That's just my personal opinion. Until next time, guys, crow your coins. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.